share my screen here so I can bring everything up. Yes. Perfect. Can you see my slides?
Yes.
Okay, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Heather Hetzer, and I am the care coordinator here in Central Southern Ohio. And today we're going to talk about and discuss the importance of sleep on your mind and your body. So, sleep in all stages of life, sleep is very important. So sleep is defined as a condition of the body and mind that typically reoccurs for several hours every night, in which the nervous system is relatively inactive, the eyes are closed, the postural muscles are relaxed, and consciousness is practically just suspended. So age and sleep are extremely closely related. And many people will notice a significant decline in the quality of sleep as they grow older. According to the Division of Sleep Medicine at Harvard Medical School, sleep patterns change throughout the life. And most of us, the amount of time we spend sleeping each day will start to decrease as we age. So we ask why, why does it change? So when it comes to newborns and children, newborns, they actually spend between 16 and 20 hours sleeping each day. I thought that was insane, but it's true. A child spends, the time a child spends sleeping actually gradually diminishes to about 11 hours a day by the time they reach the age of 4. And it continues to decline into adolescent years when a teenager, believe it or not, actually requires only 9 hours of sleep. So what I found interesting is teens are normally tired or experience trouble sleeping due to the changes in their internal clocks. Because of these changes in rhythm, a teen's body wants to be awake later into the night and sleep later in the morning. So the late nights in conjunction with the need to wake up early for school causes shortened sleep duration, which can leave a teen feeling real sleepy and tired. They're never really fully rested. So WebMD said that the most drastic sleep changes occur gradually between the ages of 19 and 60, but by the age of 20, the amount of time a person spends in deep sleep is actually cut in half. So deep sleep, children generally spend 50% of their night in deep sleep. So let's get to what we're here to talk about is seniors. Seniors, they often experience more difficulty getting to sleep and staying asleep. They experience shorter periods of slow wave sleep. So that's the deep sleep that you go into with no dreaming at all. So that means they spend more time in a lighter sleep. So you wake up more frequently. And although some sleep problems that affect seniors can be attributed to growing older, most actually arise from just chronic health conditions. So why? Why are we having so much trouble sleeping these days? And as you've likely experienced within your guys' daily life, studies show that older adults are commonly affected by difficulties and interruptions in your nightly sleep. The most frequent issues are trouble falling asleep, or maybe sleeping fewer hours, or waking up frequently or too early, maybe difficulty getting quality deep sleep. So there are a few sleeping disorders to pay attention to that I want to discuss with you, and you can discuss these with your doctor if they trigger some type of red flag for you. So the first is snoring. Now, snoring affects approximately 45% of normal American adults. It doesn't matter what age it is. It does make it a social and a medical problem. It can be disruptive to family life, forcing partners to sleep separately and preventing the snorer and their partner from getting a good night's sleep. In its most severe form, snoring can be an indicator of obstructive sleep apnea. The next is insomnia, which means the inability to fall asleep or stay asleep. And in its chronic form, it can last for weeks, months, even years. It can be related to worry or anxiety, depression, medical, psychiatric problems, or even substance abuse. Next, we have sleep apnea, or basically brief interruptions in breathing, which is scary. It's what we were kind of talking about before everybody joined. Sleep apnea is defined as a sensation of a breath or periods of shallow breathing during sleep. People with severe cases of this disorder may cease breathing hundreds of times a night, constantly signaling their brain to wake up. And next is restless leg syndrome, and they call this short RLS. It's the overwhelming need to move your legs during sleep. I have this. It's horrible. It's described as the creepy crawlies feeling in your legs when they're still, and it's really common at bedtime. So when you stretch your legs or moving your legs, it temporarily relieves these feelings. However, the constant need to move the legs to get rid of the discomfort obviously prevents a person from falling asleep. So about 5 to 10% of people experience the pain of RLS in at some point in their lives, and RLS can occur at any age, but it is more common in the elderly. Approximately 30% of RLS cases have a hereditary link, which I found very interesting. But finally, behavioral, lifestyle, and social changes. So such as like a death of a loved one, retirement, maybe moving into a nursing home, can also negatively impact your sleep patterns. So there's a few more medical conditions that can be associated with limited sleep: Parkinson's, Alzheimer's disease, any chronic pain, obviously, neurological conditions, lung or respiratory conditions, but the common one is poor bladder control. So all of these medical conditions should be discussed with your physician. So how to train your brain for sleep hygiene. We call it sleep hygiene, which it means going through a routine that basically trains your brain to know when to sleep. So like a muscle that strengthens with practice, sleeping well is a skill that you must develop. So the key word here is routine. And if you have ever tried to get a toddler to sleep, you guys know how important it is to stick to a routine. The fact is that us as adults, we're just the same. All of your senses, such as your sights and your sounds and your smell, they all associate with your mood. So what can we do? What can we do at night? So again, keep a constant schedule, consistent routine. So get a snack, read a book, brush your teeth, pray, go to sleep. Don't sway from your routine. Dim the lights. So lights on a tablet or screens, they tend to have like a blue light, which mimics the bluish light in the morning. And we'll discuss that light here a little bit later. Cool the temperature in the room, and this really helps. It actually, if you cool the temperature in a room, it will stimulate melatonin production. So it turns out that rooms with temperatures in the ranges of 60 to 68 degrees actually stimulate the production of melatonin, which obviously it encourages sleep. Finally, and the most crucial, is to decrease stimulation. So don't watch high intense, scary movies or hilarious comedies. Don't smoke. They actually say nicotine is a stimulant. But finally, don't exercise. So including yoga. There are some yogas that I hear can assist you in relaxation, but don't do any high intense exercises before bed, because it will stimulate you rather than relax you. And as much as you want to take a nap during the day, try to limit these naps to 30 minutes tops. So sleeping during the day will cause you to feel awake in your normal bedtime routine. So no screen time 1 hour before bed. They say 1 hour. It's so hard for me to do that. But if you remember that little blue light that we discussed briefly, if you must use a laptop, a phone, or a tablet, check the settings on these. Most phones have a nighttime setting to decrease the blue light feature, and it keeps you feeling more calm. Most phones and tablets also have a quote, do not disturb option, and these can be set on a timer for nightly routine. And finally, don't check work emails before bed. Those are for my coworkers. But in the picture, you're going to see an iPhone. And the difference between every day, which is on the right, and what they call night shift mode, which is on the left. Now, if you have an Android, they call it bedtime mode. So all of these can be adjusted in the settings on your phone, and your care coordinator can assist you individually with controlling these settings if you need some help with them. Okay, so caffeine. I'm a big coffee drinker. I can drink coffee all day. And caffeine, though, of course, it has a huge effect on your sleep at night. 1 cup of coffee or tea, even in the morning, they say can affect your sleep up to 48 hours. So while some people also think alcohol helps them sleep, it may only help you fall asleep. But alcohol, they say, actually decreases your mind's ability to repair itself. So hence waking up with a massive headache after a good night of drinking. And lastly, we're going to talk about anxiety and sleep. Anxiety disorders are the most common mental health problem in the United States. And insufficient sleep is known to have a sweeping negative implication for overall health. As a result, understanding and addressing the links between anxiety and sleep can be fundamental to your physical and emotional wellness. So lastly, I'm hoping my link works here, I want you to meet Matthew Walker, and I found him very interesting. He's a professor of neuroscience and psychology, and he has done some extensive sleep research that I think you'll find interesting. So let me know if you can't hear my slide. You should be fine.
My name is Matthew Walker. I am a professor of neuroscience and psychology at the University of California, Berkeley, and I am the author of the book, Why We Sleep. We certainly know that a lack of sleep will actually prevent your brain from being able to initially make new memories. So it's almost as though without sleep, the memory inbox of the brain shuts down and you can't commit new experiences to memory. So those new incoming informational emails are just bounced and you end up feeling as though you're amnesic. You can't essentially make and create those new memories. We also know that a lack of sleep will lead to an increased development of a toxic protein in the brain that is called beta amyloid, and that is associated with Alzheimer's disease, because it is during deep sleep at night when a sewage system within the brain actually kicks into high gear and it starts to wash away this toxic protein, beta amyloid. So if you're not getting enough sleep each and every night, more of that Alzheimer's related protein will build up. The more protein that builds up, the greater your risk of going on to develop dementia in later life. What are the effects of sleep deprivation on the body? Well, there are many different effects. Firstly, we know that sleep deprivation affects the reproductive system. We know that men who are sleeping just 5 to 6 hours a night have a level of testosterone which is that of someone 10 years their senior. So a lack of sleep will age you by almost a decade in terms of that aspect of virility and wellness. We also know that a lack of sleep impacts your immune system. So after just one night of 4 to 5 hours of sleep, there is a 70% reduction in critical anti-cancer fighting immune cells called natural killer cells. And that's the reason that we know that short sleep duration predicts your risk for developing numerous forms of cancer. And that list currently includes cancer of the bowel, cancer of the prostate, as well as cancer of the breast. In fact, the link between a lack of sleep and cancer is now so strong that recently the World Health Organization decided to classify any form of nighttime shift work as a probable carcinogen. So in other words, jobs that may induce cancer because of a disruption of your sleep-wake rhythms. We also know that a lack of sleep impacts your cardiovascular system because it is during deep sleep at night that you receive this most wonderful form of effectively blood pressure medication. Your heart rate drops, your blood pressure goes down. If you're not getting sufficient sleep, you're not getting that reboot of the cardiovascular system. So your blood pressure rises. You have, if you're getting 6 hours of sleep or less, a 200% increased risk of having a fatal heart attack or a stroke in your lifetime. There is a global experiment that is performed on 1.6 billion people twice a year, and it's called daylight savings time. And we know that in the spring, when we lose 1 hour of sleep, we see a subsequent 24% increase in heart attacks the following day. Another question perhaps is, what is the recycle rate of a human being? How long can we actually last without sleep before we start to see declines in your brain function or even impairments within your body? And the answer seems to be about 16 hours of wakefulness. Once you get past 16 hours of being awake, that's when we start to see mental deterioration and physiological deterioration in the body. We know that after you've been awake for 19 or 20 hours, your mental capacity is so impaired that you would be as deficient as someone who is legally drunk behind the wheel of a car. So if you were to ask me what is the recycle rate of a human being, it does seem to be about 16 hours, and we need about 8 hours of sleep to repair the damage of wakefulness. Wakefulness essentially is low-level brain damage.
Okay. Oh, wow. There's more people on here now that I turned the screen back on. So I seen this quote the other day, and it says, sleep is not only beneficial to physical health, but to emotional health, safety, and quality of life. And I'm going to say that one more time. Sleep is not only beneficial to physical health, but emotional health, safety, and quality of life. So get a good night's sleep and you'll thank yourself in the morning. Any questions? Any feedback? What did you guys think of the doctor?
It was interesting. A question I have is, are there any techniques that we can start to think about when you wake up in the middle of the night? And I think a lot of us seniors wake up in the middle of the night and can't get back to sleep. Are there any suggestions about how to manage that?
Yeah. Lindsay, go ahead.
Can I share something? I don't know if this would work for everybody, but it has worked for me. I mean, I tend to wake up and get a little anxiety and start running all kinds of things through my mind. Somewhere during quarantine, I had heard of, and there's a few different versions, I had heard of this app called Aura. There's another one called Calm, and they have sleep meditations on them. Or some of them have like a sleep hypnosis. But I have found if I wake up at night, I pop my headphones in and I turn one on, and it just shuts it all off. Now, if you've never meditated before, the one app, I think Calm, almost gives you a couple tutorials when you download it as to really what you should be focusing on. But Frank, for me, it has been a game changer. Just kind of shut it down and let my brain go somewhere else rather than, so not really I wish our medical director was with us, because I know we've had lots of medical directors over the years who, people taking Benadryl and things like that to sleep, and they really are against that we need to find other ways. but that's worked for me.
Yeah, I think that, and I mean, if you're getting up to go to the bathroom, obviously your doctor's going to tell you to avoid liquids an hour before and, all that stuff that I'm sure you're already doing. But if you're getting up and you're tossing and turning because your mind is racing, I think, following some of the things that are in the video, keeping that routine, like you really do have to train your brain that, hey, from this time to this time, we're shutting it down. Everything's shutting down. We're not going to get up. We're not going to stir. So I have tossed and turned, and I'll get up in the middle of the night, and I don't know if it's the woman in me, but then my mind starts racing and I think of everything I need to do the next day, when you just kind of got to center yourself and know that you have that moment of silence and peace, and relax yourself and know that you're in bed and you're warm and you're snuggled and the room is cool, and take a deep breath. That's the best I can give you, Frank.
Okay, well, as I say, I know a lot of seniors I talk to, they all talk about these racing thoughts in the middle of the night, and you just sort of, And the other PP is bladder control. It's the other big issue for us. So you have to get up and go, to the lavatory, and it does interrupt your sleep.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you're getting up 2-3 times a night, that's not quality sleep at all. So I would definitely discuss some things with your doctor. I know there's some medications to help with bladder control.
I'm on them.
Okay, perfect. Good. That was a good question, Frank. Anyone else?
I will say that the cool room is an absolute must for me. I don't know why it was so hot in my room last night. I think maybe it was cool outside and my windows were shut. I ended up turning down the air conditioning because I could not relax and go to sleep. And then it got cooler and I could put my sheet on, and then I was able to sleep. So I thought that was a interesting point. I thought it was just me that needed the cool room. I didn't know that was actually a thing. So
yeah. I've got, we actually have members in Dayton, and they set their thermostat to 61 at night, and they'll run it right before they go to bed, and then they'll shut it off during the whole day. So it's really, really cold at night, and then it's cool in the house all day, and they're not overworking their air conditioner. But 61 is pretty cold.
that's pretty cold.
Maybe try that. Let's see with cooling the temperature as cold as you can. See if that increases the melatonin and helps you sleep.
Absolutely.
Heather?
Yes, Terry. Hello.
Hey, I'm sorry, I'm on my phone, but there are also some wonderful breathing techniques for sleep. And I find myself doing this in the middle of the night, like Lindsay, when I get up and my mind takes over. The technique is inhaling through your nose, counting to 4, nice and slowly, and then holding it for a 7 count, and then exhaling for 4. And really focusing on that breath, and it really does calm you down. And because you're focusing on the breath, you're not focusing on, what you got to do tomorrow, where you got to go tomorrow, or, oh goodness, I have to get to the grocery store. So focusing on that breath is really important, and I find it very helpful.
And Terry didn't you do a whole care coordination corner on breathing? Different types.
I sure did.
Yeah.
I sure did. Yeah.
We may need to revisit that.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. But if you practice it, and the key, like meditation, is practicing it. I think Heather said routine is a real good positive word, and you have to get into this routine. So if you do wake up frequently and you try this technique, try it more than just a few nights, and you'll see that it is beneficial.
Good advice. Thanks, Terry. Anybody else? I see Ellen's on her phone. Well, if you have any questions at all, Marion, are you trying to ask a question?
Yeah, yes, and I'm trying to unmute myself.
You're there. You're good. We
I'm
hear
there.
you.
Okay. Yeah, Terry, can you do there are some actual yoga and mindfulness. Can you do anything with that? I mean, I
sure
know
can.
the breathing, but what other than that breathing, what are some of the other suggestions that you have? Because I think that's what, I think that's what Frank and I are both looking for.
In regards to meditation wise,
Whatever to, so that at 4 o'clock in the morning, you're not doing your grocery list.
right? Yeah. So, you're right. So the breathing is actually like a meditation because
Yeah.
you're really focusing on your breath.
That's
So
right.
if you really think about that inhaling for a count of 4 and then holding it for a count of 7, your mind has to really think about that. So you really are doing a meditation. It's of course a breathing meditation, but it actually gets you away from your other thoughts. So
Yeah.
it is a way to sort of trick your brain as to, I need to calm down now. And if you do it a few times, they say, anything takes, 21 days to have it to memory and have it as a routine. So I'm not saying try it for 21 days, but I'm saying try it a few nights, a few times, and you'll feel more relaxed. It might take you the first couple nights, maybe 4 or 5 times of that breathing to actually feel the calmness that you sort of that brings over your body. But get used to it, and everybody's different. So it might take somebody 3 times, and in some nights it might take me 10 times to breathe like that before I feel calm and start to relax again. It's just getting your mind away from all those thoughts and thinking about something else. And systemically, it's amazing what it does for you.
And there are some relaxation yoga exercises that you can do. I know our care coordinator, Chris, mentioned something about it the other day, actually, to me. So as long as it's not like that high level yoga where it's going to stimulate you,
Mm-hmm.
there are some relaxation type exercises. And you seem
just
savvy in some way, Marion.
When Terry, when are you going to do those?
Oh, well, is that something that I hear as a request?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I will definitely put that into either a care coordination corner or an event. I think it's
Okay.
wonderful. And I think I do the care coordination corner in August. And maybe I will bring that out for August, but I'll definitely do some research and maybe even have somebody on who can show us a little demonstration.
Good. Frank and I will stay awake until then.
Well, that would be my worst. I guess the worst scenario is to put everybody asleep.
Good luck.
Okay. All good questions. Anything else anybody can think of? Anne's been very quiet. Okay. Well, thank you guys all for
What was
joining
the guy's
me.
name that I want to look up that YouTube video again. What was his name again?
Yeah, his name is Matthew Walker, and he's a professor of neuroscience and psychology. Matthew Walker.
Matthew Walker. Thank you.
And you can put it in YouTube. His video.
Yeah. I'll go to the YouTube.
Heather?
He's very interesting to listen to.
Heather, I guess I do have a question. What do you think, going back to what Frank said about waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, taking melatonin?
I think there's a lot of doctors that agree with melatonin. I've taken melatonin. I mean, I would ask your doctor about that if they're okay with you taking it. It's an all natural.
Right. I mean, my doctor has okayed melatonin, but taking it when you wake up at like 2 a.m.
That's the part I would talk to your doctor.
Okay.
Because and again, I know enough to be dangerous, but ask your doctor, because I have heard some things, and that's not good, because now it's meant to naturally induce kind of your cycle. So you might start messing with it if you take it at 2 in the morning. Again, I'm not saying that's true.
Okay.
I'm saying I've heard enough that you should ask your doctor.
Okay.
Can you hear the little the asterisks under that?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
am not a doctor.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same with, you know, sometimes people take sleep medications that by the time you take it, now you're really, I know melatonin works much differently, but it's meant to be taken on the front end, I think. So ask.
Yeah, I would definitely ask. I wouldn't think about taking it at 2 a.m. You'd probably be in a deep sleep and sleep until my teenager wakes up. So it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You never know.
Afternoon. Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
This is
Well,
Katie.
thank you guys.
Real quick, just logistically, I have a couple of members that have to get up a couple of times at night. And so one of the things that happens is when he gets up, he has to go walk to the bathroom, you know, use the bathroom, wash his hands, come back. He's gotten himself a bedside urinal where he gets up, uses the urinal, caps it, and then goes back to sleep, or a commode for a female, where the whole action of getting out of bed fully, walking down the hall, turning on the lights, that process, it really helps to wake him up more than he would like to be woken.
Mhm.
So in the morning, he then empties the urinal for however many times, and he's not fully gotten himself out of bed, down the hall, back 3
Yeah.
times a night. So it's that process that kind of wakes him back up too much. So he's able to go back to sleep sooner. So the logistic side of it, a commode next to someone's bed when she gets up 3 or 4 times a night. The commode is just a movement from the bed to the commode and then back, and put a cap on it. So you're thinking of it through getting your mind to be quiet, but then your body is also woken up by the walk down the hall or the walk across the room to the bathroom. So thinking of it that way. You know, at this point in my life, I'm awoken at early hours, not because I want to be, but because there's other humans that live here that only know one name. That name is Mom, in the middle of the night. So happened again, 4:10. I swear it's this hour of joy for my children. But you know, getting myself back to sleep, like those techniques my doctor told me about, box breathing, like Terry's talking, in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. And you just think of it as a box. And then you're concentrating on counting to 4 instead of what you forgot to do that day and you need to do the next day. So it's like they said, both Heather and Terry, tricking your brain into some other activity. You know, counting sheep never made sense to me, but counting to 4 seems to make sense to me in my world. So just logistically and some other ways of looking at it. So how do you not wake your body fully up to be able to do what needs to be done physically, but then, you know, your brain's racing. So how do you slow that down? I've had other members whose doctors have told them, don't lay there awake. Don't lay there awake. Get out of bed. Get a book. Don't get a screen. Don't get your cell phone and put on a movie. Don't get your TV and turn it on. Get a book or something to look at, to read, to give your body time to relax, but not that bright light of a screen, of a phone. Turn those off and, you know, be able to, don't lay in bed for hours, just letting your brain race. Go read something. I have a lady that reads the same book regularly because it makes her laugh and it brings her joy and it keeps her brain off of what else she's worried about. So just some other suggestions of things that I've heard both personally and through other members of Kendal at Home.
Katie
I
brings
like
up a really good point. You know, your bed should be made for sleeping and sleeping only, not lounging, you know, because then your brain's gonna trigger that to, it's not sleep time. So keep that in mind, that, yeah, Katie's right. I mean, if you're gonna read or be on your tablet or things like that, maybe you shouldn't be in bed, because you want your brain to be trained that bed equals sleep. Okay. Thank you guys for joining me today. Enjoy the beautiful weather. It's beautiful here in Cincinnati. I hope it's beautiful up there too. And let us know if you guys need anything at all.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Have a good
you.
day.